Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has some of the greatest tracks of any Mario Kart game, which begs the question, which ones are going to return in Mario Kart 9 as retro courses? I played every single track that's unique to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and ranked them in order from least likely to return to the most likely to return. To be on my list, it has to be a track that made its debut on Mario Kart 8. And this is just my opinion, so I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments section below. Okay, so let's start with the tracks that I think have no chance of returning. In dead last, we have Bone Dry Ruins. Ironic, the theming is about dead bones. Personally, I don't get the hate for this track, but I rarely see people vote for it when I play online. I think overall, it's just generally uninteresting, and when you look at the rest on my list, just about every other track is more exciting. In 24th, we have Ice Ice Outpost. I personally enjoy this one, but does it belong higher than Mute City or Rainbow Road? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has so many good courses that tracks like this one that are just alright don't have any chance of returning anytime soon. And at 23rd, a little bit of a hot take, I brace for impact from the comments section as I say, Sweet Sweet Canyon. While this track definitely screams Nintendo, it's certainly just not as fun as the other tracks. And I rarely see people vote for it, and when we're considering at most 4 slots for Mario Kart 9's retro Switch tracks, I think this is really far down the list. Okay, so to wrap up our no chance section, these tracks are really fun, but personally, I think the only chance they have of returning would be if there was another booster pass for Mario Kart 9 that allowed even more tracks than just the 4 that we're trying to pick here. Okay, so moving along to the tracks that I think have an unlikely chance, although they have more of a chance than the last 3, I still think they're unlikely to return. At 22, we have Dragon Driftway. Overall, I think it's fun, it just doesn't seem to have that following and that excitement around it that you kind of need to get a whole track to be brought back. I really don't hear about too many diehard fans of this track, and it's usually voted against, at least in my personal experience. At 21, we have Mario Kart Stadium. This track, although it's really good, has one problem. Usually retro courses will have 1 or 2 Mario Circuit type tracks. So this track is competing for an even smaller slot. So as good as this track is, it would have to directly compete with some amazing other Mario themed tracks. At number 20, we have Water Park. I wouldn't be surprised if this one came back, as it's pretty recognizable. But similar to my previous thoughts on the Mario themed tracks, there is another water themed course I'll mention later in the video that I am sure would be picked before this one. Coming in at number 19, Twisted Mansion. I'll admit it, I think this one's really fun, especially that opening room, it's so cool, and it's super iconic. But I think it's much more likely that the Mario Kart DS Luigi's Mansion will return than Twisted Mansion, given the new Luigi's Mansion game. At 18, we've got Super Bell Subway. I think overall this one's fun, but when you look at the other courses in the next category, I feel like this track just kind of shies away from being as likely as they are. And finally, at number 17, Thwomp Ruins. Now this one I was so torn over if I wanted to add it to the toss-up category, but again, there's just way more tracks that are much more popular. The tough thing with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that all the tracks are just amazing, so it makes it really hard to rank this one any higher. So to wrap up our unlikely chance section, these tracks are fun, but don't contain as much aura as the next category of tracks. I cannot believe I just said that. But that is my official take. Okay, so now things are going to start to get really competitive. From here on out, there's going to be tons of hot takes and surprise picks. One of these tracks, I would personally wipe off the face of the planet, and I have a story to tell you about that. For these next 6 tracks, they belong in my toss-up category. These are tracks that are popular, but the ones that people would not vote for in the presence of some of the other tracks that we'll get to in a minute. At number 16, we have Mario Circuit. This track is super recognizable as a track from Mario Kart 8. Not only is it on the front cover of the Mario Kart 8 version for the Wii U, but it's literally an 8. It pretty obviously showcases the Mario Kart 8 Mechanic 2, which adds some points. However, it has the same issue as Mario Kart Stadium. It's a Mario Circuit, so it's a super competitive slot. At number 15, I have Mute City. This track is awesome. It's one of my personal favorites. Mute City, when talking about the potential for a return, has one problem. It lives in the shadow of another F-Zero track that has a much higher likelihood of returning, but you might be surprised where I rank that one. At number 14, Bowser's Castle. I think this Bowser's Castle is really fun, but in my opinion, I think it's much more likely that the Nintendo DS Bowser's Castle will be chosen for Mario Kart 9, as it hasn't been redone yet. So as good as this Bowser's Castle is, I think it makes it tough to put it any higher on this list. At 13, Wild Woods. Now personally, I don't really like this track. Many people seem to enjoy it and vote for it. I mean, it's unique, it's different, and it showcases Mario Kart 8's mechanics well, so it's at number 13. Number 12, Hyrule Circuit. This one was incredibly hard to rank, and here's why. If Mario Kart 9 turns into a Nintendo Kart and opens up the gates to bring in more Nintendo IP, I think this course goes much higher on the list of the likelihood to return, as it's a Zelda-based track. However, if Nintendo doubles down on keeping it just Mario, I think this track belongs lower than Mute City, for example. So I averaged it out and put it in number 12. And finally, at number 11, Clown Top Cruise. Yes, you heard me correctly. I have a personal vendetta against this track. Every single time one of my favorite tracks comes up and Clown Top Cruise is another option, everybody votes for it in mass. It'll be like Yoshi's Circuit, one of my favorite tracks of all time, and people will just spam Clown Top Cruise. It's popular, I'll give it points for that. But overall, I hate this track, and I alone will stand at the gates of top 10 and keep it from entering. So in review for the toss-ups, any of these could definitely make their return, and I wouldn't be mad, except for one of them. One of them I would be very mad. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Be sure to like the video if you like the video, and subscribe, and make my Discord server way less lonely. Okay, so now it's time to get into the tracks that you've been waiting for, the top 10. This category, the likely chance, contains the next 6 tracks that I believe have a really solid chance of being selected to enter the limited slots of the retro courses in Mario Kart 9. Coming in at number 10, Animal Crossing. This track is simple, has great music, and has a really unique theme of the different biomes, and is overall just a blast to play. I also think with the wild success of New Horizons, it could really be a selling point for Switch 2. Coming in at number 9, we have Rainbow Road. I think this is one of the best Rainbow Roads ever made. The reason why I think it's more likely to return is because it clearly showcases and celebrates the mechanics from Mario Kart 8. It's almost like a celebration of what makes Mario Kart 8 what it is. Not to mention, it's literally on the box art. Plus, we have so many other Rainbow Roads on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that I think it would be a chance to freshen things up on the next game. Coming in at number 8, Dolphin Shoals. This by far is the best water-themed track in the game, and not to mention, has one of the best saxophone runs of all time. What a banger. This track is always one of the top tracks voted for in my public lobbies, and I think it provides a fun, new, and refreshing take on the water levels. Number 7, Shy Guy Falls. This track is easily one of the most unique tracks in the whole game. It feels so dangerous and exciting, flying up and down the waterfall, jumping across the various gaps. It also has a surprisingly high skill ceiling too, which is always fun for those ultra competitive games. Plus, it's fun hearing those Shy Guys go to work. You know, it's crazy to think about how when we drive on this track, we're just actively getting in the way of the Shy Guys trying to make a living. Number 6, the Electrodome. This track changed me. Now, I view my life in 2 eras. My life before seeing Koopas get down to some EDM and a giant interactive audio visualizer that provides some of the best gameplay, most fun multiplayer moments, and a digital piranha plant headbanging, and my life after seeing it. This track also has a lot of recognizability, so people would immediately know it was a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track. The only thing keeping this track from being higher on the list is it sits in the shadows of some of the greats. And finally, to wrap up our likely chance category, Toad Harbor. This track, simply put, is just awesome. Wall riding, split paths, fun music. It's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to the core. So I put this track at number 5. It's finally time to rank the final 4 tracks, which I'm sure contain some of your personal favorites. These are easily the most voted 4 tracks online, the 4 most popular, and in my personal opinion, some of the best tracks that Nintendo has ever created. These tracks have the best chance. Coming in number 4, Big Blue. The soundtrack alone is one of the best songs that Nintendo has ever created. It produces such an intense vibe as you fly down one of the most winding, twisting, and elaborate tracks in Mario Kart history. The whole track is zero gravity, which is the flagship mechanic of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Nintendo would be out of its mind to not bring this into the next Mario Kart game, so I rank it at number 4. At number 3, we have Excite Bike Arena. This track on paper should not work. It's a circle. It has 2 turns. and it only has 3 laps. I mean, at least Baby Park had 7. But for some reason, this track is one of the most fun and one of the most popular tracks in Mario Kart 8. It creates such a false sense that the track is going to be easy just to make it one of the most chaotic maps in the game, especially when you add in all the items. It just doesn't get much more Mario Kart than this. Excite Bike Arena is my number 3. In second, Sunshine Airport. This track is just incredible. You start out inside of an airport themed around Super Mario Sunshine with some fun world building signs like Galaxy Air. You fly out of the tarmac, wind through some luggage and open airplane doors just to find yourself on the runway where you take off next to an airplane. It's one of the most memorable and fun tracks in the game, making it my pick for number 2. And finally, the track that I believe has the absolute best chance of being in Mario Kart 9 as a retro course, representing the Nintendo Switch and Wii U generations of Mario Kart that went on for over 10 years, Mount Wario. In my opinion, this is the best Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track and one of the greatest tracks of all time. Jumping out of the largest helicopter you've ever seen to fly down multiple sections of a mountain containing ice, caves, a dam, a forest, and an Olympic ski slope, this track is just legendary. It's always the most voted for track, and all the lists I find online have it in their top 3, if not in first. I think this track has the absolute best chance of returning on Switch 2 for Mario Kart 9. So, what do you think? How would you rank these tracks? What changes would you make to my list? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.